that I'm Carolina. I was a natural health practitioner for 35 years in the Washington, D.C. area. And through that time, I've probably served over 40,000 people. I'm just kind of doing the math, about 2,500 people a year. And I never treated diseases, I never cured diseases, and it was never within my legal scope of practice to get people off prescription medications. That said, my clients got a positive health outcome. I worked with medical doctors that were not taking insurance, regrettably. And by not doing so, they were able to actually do what the doctor's supposed to do. And I think many times all of us, particularly caregivers, when we're responsible for someone else, I can say this because I moved my 84-year-old mother here last year from Kentucky. And that was a challenge. And in the beginning, she had a really bad UTI that went sepsis. And I had to remind the doctors that they worked for me. I did not work for them. And knowing the things that I know, and knowing that high vitamin C IV will reverse sepsis, and it's on PubMed. So I had them use that on my mother. And at the time, she was bedridden. They were using a Hoya hoist to get her out of bed into her wheelchair. And she was on 13 different medications. Today, she is no longer on those medications. And it actually took me 2.5 months to get her off her prescription meds, get her onto supplements. And she's now, this was in February of last year that journey started. By May 31st of last year, I walked her out of the nursing home and into a 2-bedroom apartment with myself. I'm just turned 62, so I'm learning a lot about aging. I actually not sure that I thought it would impact me necessarily. And I think that's because of the lifestyle that I've chosen to live most of my life. My first mentor in life was Jack LaLanne. He was, I'm sure you probably all know, a guru on black and white TV. I was first introduced to him probably when I was about 5. My mother used to do exercises with him in the living room. And of course, being 5, I wanted to do everything that my mother was doing. So I was exercising right along with her in front of that black and white TV with Jack LaLanne. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him twice in my life, which was really, really wonderful, actually, because he had been such a sort of pivotal person in my life in terms of, I remember him saying as a little girl, if God didn't make it, don't eat it. There are over 7,000 food additives approved for our ingestion by the FDA that I don't think that God intended for us to have, or he would have put red dye number 7 in an apple. So a lot of what I teach and educate about is nutritional health. For instance, I can tell you that my mother, who's 84, has not chosen to eat the way that I ate. She really doesn't have a lot of choice now because I basically control everything she eats, which sounds really terrible. I'm not the food Nazi, but I have taken away a lot of processed foods and sugary soda drinks that she was drinking. And it has also recovered her mind, I might add, as well. The only thing that we're still working on is she has osteoarthritis pretty bad. So it's very difficult for her to shower by herself. But we have a walk-in shower where we live, and there's a saltwater pool with a lift, and she does like to swim. So most days her arthritis doesn't bother her. It's still to a point where she can't really wash her body that well, so I still help her with the shower. But she is dressing herself. She's no longer wearing diapers, and I'm very proud because it's been a lot of work together, and my mother wanted to do this. It wasn't me forcing her, because I think having a taste of the being in a nursing home was very uncomfortable for her. And then, of course, we had the move here, which was also very uncomfortable. And I think for anyone, as we age, it's harder to make those kind of changes. So I'm very proud that she's been my partner in this. I haven't forced her. She just has decided that she doesn't want to go back into a nursing home. And we went yesterday to the doctor, and she's doing very well. She used her walker. She got in and out of the car. And the only reason that she's using the walker is because she needs a knee replacement on her right knee. She had one in her left, but she doesn't want to go through that surgery again. So if any of you know about that, you're probably familiar. She doesn't want to do that. So we're going to try QC Kinetics on it. I did do some alternative things with it that's actually helped her over the last year. And I just want to get her a little bit more permanent solution. And I would tell you that the majority of how I helped her to recover her health was really about nutrition. So I'd like to start with nutrition in terms of basically, I think we're all under a lot of stress these days. And when we're nutrient deficient, that stress level intensifies. So what I hope to share with you all today is some good information on simple things that you can do for not only yourselves, but for those that are in your care that you're taking care of. First, I just want to take the pulse. Is everyone okay? Can you all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. So for me, digestion starts in the mouth, and it starts with oral hygiene and making sure that your dental health is really as strong as it can be. My mother has dentures, so for us, that's not really an issue. But what we do is still some oral care. I give her some natural gum drops. There's nothing sweet about them. It's just really to kind of keep bacteria in the mouth down, so that you're not basically also in swallowing some of that. So for instance, when I wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do is I take some water, not necessarily Fiji, but I have filtered waters, different filter systems in my house. But what I generally do will rinse my mouth with water and spit that out. I will not swallow it, because what I want to do is that bacteria that is proliferated overnight, I want to wash that out. And then the second thing I want to do is alkalize my body. So when we sleep at night, we acidify. We have 1 trillion cells in our body that literally cleanse every night. So I want you to think about a cell, and I have to put this down, so hopefully you can hear me. You've got your cell. And what you want is you want the nutrients or water to move through the cell and push in nutrients and then push out waste product. I want you to think about your cells basically defecating every day. And the reason that that's an important concept is that 50% of our stool or our bowel movement is actually metabolic waste or cellular debris, not just undigested foodstuffs. Does that make sense? When you think about your cells producing waste product? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So I'm very have really worked with clients in the past to help them drink more water, to drink more alkaline sources of water, and certainly alkaline in the morning. I personally either drink a baking soda water that's warm, and that's generally if it's cold out. In the morning, I generally will have apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of that, maybe even with some Himalaya salt in the water, because what that does, the Himalayan salt is a good electrolyte, and it actually nourishes your adrenals, and our adrenals are extremely important in stress. So they're involved in keeping us calm. When we are under stress, our thyroid and our adrenals, which in Ayurvedic medicine have a relationship, much like our brain and our gut, our heart and our kidneys have these internal sort of relationships. So if your adrenals are stressed, your thyroid is going to be stressed, and that's also going to cause you to feel some anxiety. It's going to cause you to feel tired. So I always like to encourage clients to drink apple cider vinegar in the water with a little bit of salt, Himalayan pink salt preferably, or some sea salt that is very granular. And that will take some of the tartness away from the apple cider vinegar, because not everyone likes to drink apple cider vinegar. And you do want to make sure that you're getting apple cider vinegar with the mother so that it's properly fermented. I'm very big into fermented foods. I also want to say that I am not a doctor, that I am not a nurse. I'm no way involved in the medical profession. I started out in nursing and worked at a hospital as a nurse's aide for 2 years and decided that I did not want to get sick. So how was I going to stay out of a hospital and not get sick? So I really learned that digestive health is very important, and our interstitial tissue, because our interstitial tissue gets very congested with toxicity. If you'll recall at the top of when I started speaking, I said that we have over 7,000 food additives approved for our ingestion by the FDA. If you think about these food additives, your body really doesn't know what to do with them. So it stores it in our tissues, in particular our fatty tissue, and even our brain has fatty tissue. So I'm a very strong proponent of intermittent fasting, eating clean food, and also cleansing nutritionally and supplementally if possible. Not everyone's ready to cleanse in other ways. So what I addressed in the beginning is ways that we can do that nutritionally and supplementally. I myself do a parasite cleanse every quarter. I water fast at least 3 days a month. And I generally eat 2 meals a day, which is pretty much the schedule that I have my mother on, which is not to say that I don't allow her to have dietary indiscretions or that I don't have a dietary indiscretion. Once in a while, you want that Haagen-Dazs ice cream, chocolate, that's my mother's favorite, or she likes to have the glass Starbucks mocha flavor, and I don't deny her those things. What I would tell you is that you are making a health choice every time you bend your elbow to your mouth. So as long as you're making a good 80%, preferably more, but at least 80% of those food choices on the positive side, think of your body as a health bank. You want to make more investments in your health bank than withdraws, just like with your own savings account at your bank, right? So your body is a health bank, and every time you bend that elbow to your mouth, you're making a health choice. So I try to get people to think about consciously what they're ingesting. Is it basically man-made, or is it basically as natural and as close to, I don't want to say how God intended it, but I will go ahead and say that. Because when we're eating these processed foods, if our body doesn't know what to do with those toxins, it stores it in our tissues. We also then, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, I think it weakens our immune condition and allows diseases to develop. How those manifest in a person depends on a lot of different variables that we won't necessarily go in today, but certainly genetics does play a role. Certainly our lifestyles play a role, whether we're sedentary, whether we're more active, whether we eat a lot of junk food or not. But what I do know is that if people will think about what I call the 5 basics, it's oxygenating the body, good sources of water, whole food nutrition. And I'm not talking about Whole Foods, the store. I'm talking about whole foods, foods that are real, foods that are going to give you nourishment. And I also would add to that probiotic foods and beverages. Then you need restorative rest and you need good elimination. If you're getting in enough water, if you're getting in those good foods and you're getting in probiotic foods, you're going to have good elimination. And generally, you'll sleep more at night. You'll sleep better when your body is functioning better. Our bodies need our sleep. I generally go to bed at 9 and almost always wake up around 5 a.m. in the morning. That's what I do. That's just something I've done for a very long time. It's not always convenient. There are times when I live dangerously and I go out and I eat past, 5 o'clock. Or I might have dinner at 7 and I might not go to bed until 11 p.m. because I'm out with friends or I have family that are in town. I'm not saying that you have to be perfect. No one is, including myself. But I would say that you want to keep your nutritional balance as close to 80% perfect if you can. I prefer, again, trying to keep it 90, 95%, but it's not always easy in this world. And we all are busy and it's hard to make our food. I think one of the things that I enjoy is a kitchen. And in the kitchen is where I think the love actually generates from, because when I'm making my food, I'm making it with the intention of nourishing my body, of loving my body with that food. And I'm praying that I get that love into the food and then I'm ingesting that. And I don't think that you can do that with food that's been over processed or is what I consider dead food. I really prefer living foods, and that would extend to cultured vegetables, kefir, kombucha, things that are going to give you that probiotic basis that we don't get very much naturally. It is said that our appendix does produce some probiotics, but not enough, especially in the world that we're living in today. We're under attack. So I try to have at least 2 tablespoons of cultured vegetables with every meal, including my mother. And I think it's really helped a lot, because you have to realize that those probiotic foods and beverages, those good bacteria, are there to build a very healthy gut or healthy microbiome. And when your microbiome is healthy, in fact, I would tell you to think of your mouth to anus as the root of your tree. And if your root is healthy, then your body is going to be healthy overall. I can say that I practice what I preach, that at 62 years old, I don't have any aches or pains going on in my body. I've never been diagnosed with anything. I have all my own teeth. I don't even have a silver filling or I've never had a root canal or any of those things. And my mother had a lot of those early on. And I think it really has to do more with my nutrition and how vigilant I am with my oral hygiene. And it's important to me that if I graduate to heaven tomorrow, I'm okay with that. But I happen to believe that God's got a lot of work for me and I'm going to be here for a while. And I want to be here in a capacity that I can help others and that I can help myself. And to do that, you have to build a strong body. And I just believe that we're under attack so much with everything that's going on in our world today, in our food supply, and it's harder to stay healthy. And when you add to that the caregiving of another, Even for myself, obviously, I'm not able to care for myself as much as I used to, simply because I'm caring for another individual. I don't feel bad about that. I love caring for my mother. I'm so grateful I can give her a better quality of life than what she would have had she stayed in Kentucky so far away from me. But there comes a time when we all have to kind of figure out how we're going to manage as we age. And that's never become more apparent to me than in the last couple of years. I've kind of felt bulletproof. And now I'm realizing, and I'm grateful to have my mother to care for, because I'm learning a lot through her that I didn't really have a clue about previously. So let me bring it back to a couple of things. Oxygen. I like to oxygenate the body through deep breathing exercises. If you have access to a gym, or you can walk, or whatever you can do, it's not necessarily, I don't like for people to go and exercise because they want to lose weight or they want to build muscle. Those are all good things. Those are sort of natural byproducts. But if I put a pillow over your face, you're not living for very long. So oxygen is key. And the oxygen that we breathe and take in, and most of us don't use our lung capacity to our best health benefit. So I would say that oxygenating the body and just taking some time in the morning and in the evening before you go to bed, when you get up, is probably the best time to do that. But each of us has to figure that out. The second thing is water. We need water to keep our interstitial tissue, which is the water that we are, fluid, so that it moves nutrients into the cell and waste product out of the cell. It's very key as we get older. I tell people to think about, you know what a raisin looks like, and you know what a prune looks like. You might like both of those, but when it comes to your brain, you want a prune brain and not a raisin brain, right? And the best way that we can do that is to hydrate. So water is the second most important element. We can literally go, I mean, I've gone as long as 45 days on a fast without food. I don't recommend that anybody do that right now. You'd want to start small, maybe just doing a 12-hour fast, where you don't eat anything for 12 hours. But for each of us, we have to figure out how our lifestyle is going to work, and you need some basic information on that. I can always follow up with an email to give everyone information where you can kind of take responsibility for your own health and learn some of the things that are going to work and resonate for you, because what resonates for me isn't always going to resonate for the next person. What works for one person isn't going to work for another person, because we're all an individual experiment of one. And so I know that oxygen, I know that water, I know that whole food nutrition, good food, preferably adding probiotic foods into that. I know that good rest and good sleep are very safe things that I can recommend to anyone and everyone that they're just the basics. They're what I call my kindergarten skills. And we tend to sort of get so busy in life that we don't always think about our breath. We don't take time out to get water and make sure that we have water in a way that sometimes I've had clients I would have them set timers that every 45 minutes to an hour for the first 8 hours of their day, so that they did get in, at least for those first 8 hours, some water, where they would drink at least a cup or 8 ounces of water, because you have to remind yourself sometimes. And if you can squeeze a little lemon, have a little salt in that water, I think it's also a health benefit, particularly when you think about apple cider vinegar or limes or lemons that are acidic, but they leave an alkaline ash in your interstitial tissue. For me, I'm conscious, or always trying to be conscious, that I'm not leaving my body in an acidic state. Once in a while, I like to have the Pinot Noir, and I will have that Pinot Noir. And when I get home, or if I'm already home later that evening, I will probably drink an apple cider vinegar water, and that's going to alkalize that, or at least drink it in the morning. If I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, then I drink it then if I didn't drink it before I went to bed. And the reason for that is because a wine will acidify your body, and it's not great to go to bed or even get up in the morning and drink like a coffee, which is acidic for you. I drink coffee, but generally 2 to 3 hours after I've already been up. And I don't put anything in my coffee other than cardamom, cinnamon, MCT oil, and ghee. It's black, and I make it myself. I don't even do Starbucks. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to open it up for questions because I feel like sometimes that's the best way that things happen. But those are sort of my basics for what I feel is a wonderful way to keep your body calm and balanced, particularly when you're a caregiver and you're taking care of someone else. And you can incorporate some of those same things that you're doing for yourself, which is just as important to do for that person that you're taking care of. I think my mom is a good example of that.
Thank you, Carolyn. There. Hi. And hello, Ron. Welcome. Hi. So thank you for
Ron.
I don't know all the the specifics and the science that you mentioned, but that's basically how we eat at home. Just can you tell me again how much apple cider vinegar? Let's say 1 cup of water.
I usually do 8 ounces of water. 8 ounces of water with anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon. It depends. I would start out with a teaspoon first. And of the vinegar. But shake it up. If it's got the mother in it, you want to shake it and make sure it's all mixed. And then pour that half teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, ACV, into your water. And you can use warm water. You can use room temperature water. You can use cold water. But I'm not a fan of using cold water just because our bodies are 98 degrees in temperature. So I'm more of a person who drinks water that's room temperature or warm, hot.
Yeah. Okay, and thank you. And I'm sorry, the Himalayan salt, how much of that?
I usually put about a teaspoon in that too.
Okay.
I think it's a good combination. You can also use like a Manuka honey or any kind of honey, but I use Manuka honey. The Manuka honey, you again want to put another teaspoon in, and it just, in fact, I've even my grandmother actually taught me this one. So apple cider vinegar with a teaspoon of honey, teaspoon of both, in water will even help women, young women who are on their menstrual cycles and having cramps.
Wow.
So I did that.
The water with the what honey? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Manuka. I use Manuka honey. It's pricey. It comes from New Zealand. Actually, I've seen it in Walmart. They have the smaller ones, but I also like, obviously, local honeys are good. I like the Manuka honey because it has properties in it that are prebiotic, which means that they actually are good for probiotics and are very helpful in building the digestive microbiome.
Okay, so you said, let's say 1 cup of water and the Manuka honey, is that it?
And the apple cider vinegar.
Oh, with that.
The vinegar or the salt, I can drink just apple cider vinegar water, but not everybody's ready for that.
How about limes? If I use lime instead of
you can use lime, yep, or lemon, whichever you prefer.
Really interesting. I grew up in El Salvador, and we used to have that as a refreshment: glass of water, lime juice, because we didn't really use lemons. All our what were really limes, and a teeny bit of salt. And I grew up drinking that, and I haven't had that in a million years. But it is.
Well,
it's
you
really
should be
good.
drinking it.
I'm gonna go back to it. Excuse me.
Good salt, not iodized, Morton salt. We don't want to eat that. That will cause high blood pressure. But I eat salt all the time, and my blood pressure runs 90/60. So, and has for years. So I can tell you that I do a lot of good salts, and our adrenals need that salt. The iodine is really what you're looking at, and your thyroid needs iodine. Part of the reason we feel so good at the ocean is because we're getting that sort of natural iodine, and it makes our thyroid happy. And then when our thyroid's happy, our adrenals feel good, and we don't feel as stressed.
So do you recommend an iodine supplement?
Well, I do, but here's what you want to do first. Make sure that you're actually iodine deficient. And you can do that very easily in the inner forearm. In fact, I just did it not too long ago because I like to check my iodine. You can get Providone iodine at the Target or Walmart or CVS, HEB. Any place has it. It's on the bottom shelf, typically where you get alcohol, rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. So you can draw like a 3-inch square, and if it's gone by the end of the day, you need iodine. So I do recommend an iodine supplement in that case. And I will tell you that 9 out of 10 people probably need the iodine, as well as magnesium. Most people are magnesium deficient, and magnesium is involved in 350 enzymatic reactions in the body daily. So you are not firing on all pistons. And if you get any kind of muscle cramps or your eye twitches or any of those things like that, you're probably a little bit magnesium deficient.
What do you
Again,
think of vitamins?
I'm sorry?
What do you think about multivitamins?
Well, wow. So for a long time, in the beginning of my practice, I was not a fan of most supplements. And the reason I said that at that time was because I felt that we were supposed to get all of our nutrients from our food. The challenge today is, excuse me, our soils are depleted of nutrients. So the iron we were getting in spinach when I was a little girl is not the iron that we're getting in spinach today. It has negligible amounts at this point. So I do believe in supplements, and I take several different brands because they have different things that I like. I take Dr. Mercola's liposomal C and D. I take his D and K. Even though I get out in the sunshine, I still want to make sure I have enough. I'd rather have a little bit higher, and you want to be closer to 60, anywhere from 30 to 60 milligrams of vitamin D. I get my blood tested every 6 months. I am a veteran, so I go to the VA and I just ask them for very specific tests. I can send those tests to you, and I can send you an online place where you can go and get some tests done if you want to do that. I don't like to see people supplement if they don't know what they're deficient in. What I do know, multivitamin is kind of like throwing mud up on the wall and hoping it sticks. I don't sell any kind of supplements because I don't want to recommend one supplement over the other. I use Thorne, I use their NAC, and I use their berberine. I use methylene blue, which you can actually order online through Walmart. They have pharmaceutical grade methylene blue. it kind of gets into that, if that's in the category of an ivermectin. So even before COVID, I was a fan of ivermectin because it's very good for killing parasites. And I don't want to get into a lot of things with like the whole COVID thing, but I would say that ivermectin, methylene blue, NAC, berberine, are really great for your brain. And I have my mother on every single one of those. I've seen a tremendous difference in her in the last year, in her memory, in her, I feel like I've really recovered her a lot. And I don't think it's because it's a combination of things. It's taking away processed foods. It's adding in probiotic foods, and it's giving her good supplementation. So it's a combination of those things. I don't think health is there's not a magic bullet, in other words, and health is an event that we get to and then, gee, we never have to do anything again. It's really a daily sort of process. And I think the best way that I try to explain to people that I'm working with is that, again, it just comes back to that concept of your body being a health bank. And every time you're bending your elbow to your mouth, you're making a health decision. And it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but it means that you need to really work at it, and you have to work at it harder if you have an issue. Then there really isn't an 80%. Then I think you need to try to be 100%, which is tough. But I think it depends on how important your health is to you as an individual, and then how important the other person's health is to you. And not everybody, I mean, I've had people, including my mother, say, really, do I have to take that? No, I don't want to do it. Well, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Just know that there's a front and a back to everything. But I still think that food is our best resource for nutrients. I think you have to explore brands of supplements. If I were going to take a multi-supplement, it would probably be either Mercola's or Thorne, or a Melaleuca one. I also get Melaleuca. They have wellness products that's a membership thing, but I can't go to the one store. I can't go to just one place to get my supplements. And it's really hard to answer your question, because I don't know what you're deficient in, and I would first start there. I think just taking supplements is not the best use of our money. I think the best use of your money is the highest quality food that you can get for yourself, and the freshest, and then find out what you're deficient in and then supplement to that. And that takes a little bit of work. It's not inexpensive, but it's an investment in your health. So I think it's worth it.
Thank
I
you
hope
so
that
much
answers your question.
for the time. So I'm going to say, just anybody have any questions or comments? But I think, and I'm gonna adjust this again, I'm sorry, this has been like almost like musical, I don't know what, so get everybody in there. Okay, so I think the most important thing in my opinion is the individual, making the choice to take care of yourself, to take
Yes.
responsibility for your own health, because nothing happens without your consent, right? So
Change is the decision.
I'm
Change
sorry.
is, I said, change is the decision.
Yeah.
You have to decide, and then you have to change. So change is the decision.
And oftentimes we don't even think about our own body, our own wellness, our own well-being, our own thoughts, because we're busy
Yes.
doing a bunch of
Thoughts
fun.
are important. I didn't get into that, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'd love to,
Undigested anger, unforgiveness, not healthy.
I would love to hear you talk about those specific issues later on,
Sure.
because are also part of our well-being. And I think I looked up holistic because I really did not have a definition for that, and or whole body, and it includes even adjusting your environment. And I'm like, I love it. Just like with people with dementia, the environment makes a big,
it's very important for them. Yes.
Yeah, that's why the senior living communities look the way they look, you know, up to a point. But we also need to do that for ourselves and for the safety of our loved ones at home, you know.
Yes.
Where someone is, you know, so I would love to hear more of that, but
Sure. On another session, right? Or
I'm
another
sorry,
time? Another session, another time, or?
another session, because we're out of time and we still have a couple of caregivers that I would like them to share if they would like to. But this was, I agree with you. I don't know all the, you know, the whatever enough about this topic, but I do know how to eat properly. And I have to say, thanks to my dad having his heart attack in 1987.
Well, our parents continue to teach us, especially when we start taking care of them.
We started reading labels.
Yes.
For everything, and I'm like,
and unfortunately you do. You just have to read for everything, and don't trust Whole Foods, and don't, you know, you really I mean, I say don't trust Whole Foods. Don't trust any store. You're going to have to just look. If it says natural, it doesn't necessarily mean natural. You're really going to have to look at the ingredients. But I thank you for having me today, by the way.
Very welcome. One just last thing is, even if it's something is natural, quote unquote, natural is not necessarily good. We have natural toxins too. So the fact, you really have to be informed, but you have to want to be informed. So, but thank you so much. I think
you're welcome.
They always said prevention is better than, you know, pound of cure, right? So it's very wonderful. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. Good help to everyone.
I was going to ask if she had a website.
Oh, well, I do. It's Austin Ozone Sauna. You can email me through there.
Is it okay to share your email? Well, actually,
yes, absolutely. Share my email and my phone number. It's fine. I'm happy to, and I will email you and send you something you can send out to everybody.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Hey, bye-bye. Hi, Ron. Welcome. Okay, so I want to make sure that Ron and April share, because they have not had a chance. If you would like to and have time.
I did.
Okay.
You
did? Okay.
You were talking to Anne, I think.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to get this. I'm not the best AV person here. They'd fire me in a flash. So, okay. Well then, okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get everybody in there, but having a hard time. Ron, welcome. This is Ron. And
hi, everybody.
Paula.
Hi, Paula.
This is Ron. He's joining us from Maryland.
Oh, Maryland.
My hometown, yes.
Yeah, you just stole my script. I'm Ron from Maryland, and I don't know what else to say. But yeah, my mom, I'm a caregiver for my mom, fortunately, because she signed up for a long-term care. We were able to find her a place that could really suit her needs. That is very close to where we live, a mile or two away. And she's doing well. She's been in that center she's in her 4th year. So halfway through her 4th year. So, and she has dementia, and she's had it for a while. But most importantly, her mood has been the vast majority of the time good. She's in a good mood. She smiles. She She interacts with people, obviously with her dementia. It's another level, but a healthy one because she's doing well and her mood is good and she's active. She does all the activities, every single one that they have, she's involved in. So it's been after the transition to find her a place and such, it's been I'm pretty good. So it's still a little stressful at times, but yeah. So anyway,
Just like
and I'm Ron
mine.
from Maryland.
Yeah. How about your father-in-law?
He is doing well. Thank you for asking. So my father-in-law had a stroke a couple of months ago, and and he was taken to a hospital. He ejected himself from the hospital. He got vocal, and after half day, a day of that, they just let him go. And so we found him. To make a story short, we found, I should say, my wife flew out to China and worked with her brothers to find him a nice place, and he's doing really well. There was a concern how, after living in a place all his life, how he would take to this place, especially after he was so vocal about being in the hospital. But he likes his care facility very much, and he's very relaxed and is doing very well there. So we're really happy about that.
Wonderful, good, and I'm sure it's nice to have your home complete now with your wife back at home.
Yeah, it was nice. Nice to have her back.
Yeah, great, wonderful. Well, that's good news. So, all right, did anybody else have anything to share or add? Oh, it's 12:01. So it felt like very crazy today. I felt very unsettled. So I'm sorry about that, but I don't know, we muddled through.
I thought it was actually perfect given the topic. You know, sometimes you have that little craziness, and that's why you need the wellness, the internal balance for the external unbalance.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think, would you please stop recording? Because I just
Oh,
noticed.
shoot. Yes, I will.